I can't tell if I'm live yet or not because my computer's really slow. Hang on. Yeah, my computer is so freaking slow. Probably going to get some funky feedback here in a second. Maybe. Don't know. Here we go. Hey, everybody. Hope everyone is doing well today. Today is Saturday, May 18th. High noon here in the Midwest of the United States. All righty. So today, I hope everybody's doing well. It's kind of going to be a little on the toasty side here in Michigan. And I was thinking about the conversion between the let's see, the conversion between the two um, metric, etc. So hang on for a second. I'm gonna mute this and see what happens. Yep, it looks like I am actually. Aw, thanks, AZ. All right. You know, I have to like freaking multitask like during the week. And I'm trying to do all this like hokey, funokey. Yeah. All right. So, all right. So today I kind of was thinking about all the stuff I got going on and talking about multitasking. I'm having a lot of problems with tech right now. And I was watching this one video while I was working, and they kind of talked about the difference between Lucifer and Satan. I think he was talking about uh, referring to him as Ahriman. That was Dr. Douglas Gabriel. I have to cover my other image up without kind of messing with my little head. But anyway, yeah, so he was talking about the balance. So you have one end of being human is that you don't believe in God and that you have this innate thing in you that says, well, I just better grab everything I got because that's all there is while I'm breathing. And the other side is totally detaching from self and giving up self. So that to me kind of sounds more like the extreme of a Buddhist experience where a lot of people say you can feel like you're into nothingness. You aren't, and they say, well, you're integrated into the one, but I kind of question, well, what one? So I kind of liked this thing that he brought up and about finding that balance between all of it because there's the shadow and the light whole thing, right? Let me see if I can't get this so I can see what's going on. Because I'm not feeling particularly adept today at anything. There we go. I feel better now. But anyway, so it was really like, well, there's a give and take, there's a balance. So I kind of started thinking about reciprocity, and reciprocity is kind of a good thing. It's basically the opposite of an eye for an eye, kind of, sort of. Um, maybe it's a way to define equanimity, that you're able to find a balance within and without. So going so far within that you lose yourself and you're not really of use to society. And then the other side is that you're abusing that aspect of self by being greedy and selfish, etc. So there is that balance that I think that everybody kind of needs to be looking for, that I think we all are in serious lack of. I forgot to move the cat tree out of the way. It's kind of not a pleasant thing to look at. Anyway, neither is that way. My house is full of boxes. Um, So, yeah, so really, I think that balance a lot of times means an uncomfortable change. And so that's what I've decided to do. There's going to be some changes to my website and what I'm going to be doing. I did do a recording with Tom Wall and posted it. It's on BitChute. I haven't put it up on Rumble or Odyssey quite yet. I just have to basically do copy paste onto that sucker. The other thing is getting ideas for topics, and someone brought up, I think it was Gray Noise, saying maybe looking into more of a hermetic type energy, etc. I think that starts to lean kind of towards that idea, but of a losing self. But I think there are limits within that we do have to understand all of it. And maybe, I'm not sure, just my opinion, that there's a possibility that we need to understand the science of it. And we need to, and I know some people don't like to say that understand, but there is a submission aspect to information. And yes, you do have to understand. Once you understand something, you submit to it, especially if it's helpful knowledge. Then it can become integrated and you have an inner knowing. So I don't think it's an inner standing. I think it's an inner knowing. If that makes any sense, not so sure. Again, just a thought. So yeah, that inner knowing and exploration of yourself is really going to be helpful in what's coming, because discernment's going to be needed. And if you get too lost in one subject, in one idea, you get more or less kind of fixated on it at some point, because, I think we've all been there. That's not going to be helpful. We're going to have to probably be pretty diverse. Everybody's talking about growing your own food, and I'm not bashing that at all. Tom and I talked about that quite a bit and how to do that. But it's also about making sure that you find that balance with everything. So yeah, I think everybody needs to find that helpful space, that helpful spot that equalizes, or I guess don't know how else I can really understand that anymore. Division, direction, labels. Oh, and the other thing was making sure that the words that come out of our mouth, that everybody is aware that they are spells. So it's spelling. This is what came up in the last several weeks, is that people are using the word like a lot in a context of like meaning sort of, or kind of, or similar to. That's what the word like is. So if I say, my car is like so-and-so's car, that would be accurate because it's not the same. But when you sit there and say, well, I ran over the curb, well, you didn't like or kind of run over the curb. You ran over the curb if you ran over the curb. So when we kind of say that sort of thing, it changes the meaning. So it seems like it's going to be very, very important that we're clear with what words that we use and how we phrase our words. And everybody sees it, I think, when you get fixated on things, there's like a division. it puts you in a different direction. It can pull you apart from people. When we put labels on people, it creates a greater polarity, a greater division. When you categorize things, it can incite division. And it eventually feels like it's going to be derision. So it's going to make people angry and it's going to divide. And what is that going to do? That's going to allow those groups to be conquered. So whatever it is that if you're wrong, whatever it is that you've done is wrong. Maybe not in the eyes of others, and maybe not, it's hard to explain. Not to be confused with something that is more of a moral judgment. So a lot of people don't like the idea of using, and I don't like the word psychic, I like the word intuitive. So if you're an intuitive and you use intuitive tools like a pendulum, tarot, if you scry, if you use crystals, whatever it is, that tool that helps you align your energy and the subtle energies that you have within you, people sometimes take an offense to some of those tools because of their programming, whether it's religious or whatever you want to put on it. So the other aspect to all of this too is, why are there so many people seeking answers through these tools or the tarot tools? So it's like seeking answers outside of our perceived self, like a medium. Nothing wrong with it. This is where our own perspectives, you are going to look at yourself different than others look at you and see you. They're going to see things totally different. They have totally different filters, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's kind of like having a smudge of dirt on your nose. And what do you mean there's something on my nose or something in my teeth? You don't see it, but the people around you do. And if they're kind, they're going to tell you got spinach in your teeth or toilet paper on your shoe. So, I mean, that's just a kind thing to do. Too many times, not so much the toilet paper on my shoe, but that's happened to me a lot, where people don't tell you, something's off kilter. But maybe too, there's some sort of an intrinsic sense or a drive to get a different perspective. And maybe that's why we seek out these mystic tools. And it might be a good way for us to be able to get someone else's perspective. Again, we're going to have some discernment and make sure that whomever we're seeking this advice or intuitive perspective from someone else, making sure that they have our best interests at heart, because I think that there's going to be a lot of greedy people coming up. And it's not necessarily greed that's going to be overt. It feels like there's going to be a lot of fear-driven stuff going on. They're going to not understand what's going on. Either they're going to try and shut people down that are intuitive, or they're going to maybe seek out intuitive people that are not having others' best interests at heart. And the idea of maybe seeking help from other people and different people, not always the same. I used to watch Janine Morto. She was on Beyond Mystic 3. She was interesting because she even made a recommendation saying that if you seek someone out for a particular answer and you don't feel it hits the mark, then she encouraged people to just go out and talk to another reader, or as many, as they felt comfortable to do, because that's going to give you a multiple perspective. So it's kind of like people in the room. They're going to have a different view of who you are and where you are. And so getting that bigger perspective, sometimes we don't have the ability or the strength to find healing answers. So it's like if you have a cut that's too big for a Band-Aid, it's not about being comfortable, it's about expanding your comfort zone. And you can do that only when you're uncomfortable, but within a comfortable range. You know, I mean, flipping something over in a hot pan, you're not necessarily going to do that with your hands, but sometimes you can like pick something and flip it. So you can feel the steam and the heat. So it's the same sort of idea that, okay, so if you can't touch your toes and you want to improve your flexibility, then you're going to be uncomfortable and feel the stretch when you're trying to touch your toes. And if you keep at it to increase your flexibility, I mean, you don't want to hurt yourself, but you do it just enough so that you're uncomfortable so that it does improve your flexibility. And sometimes we need that outside person to help us manage that pain stress. Or maybe if we do push too far, we might kind of injure ourselves. Just a thought. So, only because this is a tactile place and it's called, so the so-called illusion of separation, it's very difficult. And we can kind of feel a little crushed by some of the stuff that's going on, the soul and the spirit. So people aren't going to always have your experiences, even though they might have similar ones. What's kind of important is validating other people's experiences when they're telling you their story. Because it didn't happen to you, or that you've never experienced what they have experienced, it doesn't mean that it can't or didn't happen to someone else. Even it sounds outlandish. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to agree with it, what they're saying. So even though someone may have been hurt by another person, they're going to tell you what a bad person that other individual is. So you're going to take and validate that because that's valid. That other person hurt them. Doesn't mean I'm not going to say deserved it, but they may have been an instigator for, having someone say something sharp or giving them a little love tap. So if it's a clear fabrication or a manipulation for someone's personal gain, that's when clarity and transparency needs to be given. But you got to be careful to make sure, because if you confront people bluntly with that kind of stuff, you're probably going to get some pushback. So if you can do it in a clever way, a lot of times you can get things to be reflected back. Not always. There is that little thing, narcissism. There's a couple other things too. Antisocial personality. That doesn't mean you're not friendly. It just means you do what you want and you don't give a rip about other people. So yeah, love and compassion with everything. Just a thought. Just a thought. So anyway, my vacuum cleaner died about a month ago. So I've got enough funds now that I can go buy myself a vacuum cleaner. And with the hairy dog who just decided to blow her coat and the two cats, it's pretty rough. Carpet's not looking so hot. So I'm going to take off. I'm going to go get a vacuum cleaner. And so maybe everybody can kind of like, clean up our thoughts, clean up our ways about how we look at other people, because those thoughts are definitely things, they're tangible, they're physical things in our brain, but we can't see the energy that they put off. So yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. But anyway, looking forward to more changes. Logo is going to change. Really excited, going to be offering life coaching, support for people. I think things are gonna get really interesting. I'm not gonna say they're rough. I'm not gonna say they're bad. I'm not gonna say they're gonna be good changes. Moral judgment. Things are just gonna change, which is a good thing, I guess, maybe. But things are just gonna change. They're just gonna be different. So anyway, love and blessings to everyone. Take care of yourself. And leave some comments, y'all. I would love to get some more ideas, and I'm still working on the whole energy thing and the sound, the cymatic stuff. I really love that. That is really who we are. It really is who we are. So everyone have a fabulous weekend here and there, and we're